Coach. With all the craziness right now in college basketball, I just wanted to ask you, what is the WCC league offices maybe informed you and other coaches in the league in regards to maybe the league's forfeiture policies for conference play? Because I just saw Santa Clara's on pause, San Diego as well. So what's the latest with the league in this conference season?
Yeah, so I haven't heard much from I assume that things are just working the way they have, which is, I don't think there's been any announcement that forfeitures are going to affect standings at all. To my knowledge, that is not the case. But, I think probably everybody's, we're back to real-time decisions, right? Everything could change in the next 20 minutes. We were just talking in a staff meeting this morning about how grateful we were that none of the WCC games had been called. And then an hour later, we're like, why did we waste that 15-minute conversation? Because WCC games have been called. So it just is we're kind of back to that dynamic, at least for the immediate future.
And just curious, if I'm not mistaken, the NCAA, for vaccinated players, they don't have to test unless they have symptoms. How often do players have to test if they're not vaccinated?
Yeah, so right now we don't have any unvaccinated players on a testing protocol. So I think there's a standard testing protocol for unvaccinated players, but we're just not dealing with that.
And then on the court, with Foose in being inserted to the starting lineup, is that something you see now going forward for you guys as kind of an answer in this retooled lineup that you've been looking for?
I don't know. It's it makes us small, and that's worrisome. Clearly, moving forward, we're still a work in progress. There's so many different dynamics we're trying to figure out. I'm just grateful that when he was called upon to do it against Liberty, he performed at a really, really high level.
Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, you touched on this a little bit when you finally wrapped up what felt like a really long tournament in Hawaii, just with how things were going and everything else. But you guys are 11-3. You're done with the Division I part of your non-conference schedule, wrapping up your non-conference schedule here this week. If somebody had told you that you could be 11-3 with all that you guys have gone through with Gavin and Richard and everything else, trying to change the way you guys are playing or whatever, is it fair to say that this is about as good as can be expected? Not that you guys are perfect, but it feels like you guys have kind of survived quite a bit just to get to 11-3, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Even with Rich and Gav and everything going perfect, I'd be like, "Are you serious? Let's go 11-3. Come on." I mean, we got a chance to be an 80% win percentage team, and that's really, really hard to do. I mean, that's really hard to do in college basketball, especially playing the schedule we played. I mean, we played 7 Division I, 7 NCAA tournament teams. We played 8 of our last 9 games away from home. It just is. It's we had big names on the schedule. It's awesome. I couldn't be more proud of what these guys have done. It's really staggering, and so we're super excited about it. We believe that we got a massive amount of work to do, and our conference is got elite level teams in it. Right now we got 4 teams in the top 40 in the country, which is parallel with half of the Power 5 leagues. We're going to have almost really close to 3 quad 1 games in our first 5 games in conference. Think about that, right? That's super cool that we're close to that. And so we couldn't be more pleased with where we are, and we understand that what's coming is going to be even tougher.
Alex, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. What's up, Alex?
Hi. What's up? So, you mentioned, the team being a little bit small right now. We've talked a little bit about how, those 2 injuries to your big guys kind of change a little bit of the identity for the team going forward. And I've been curious, you guys have the Westminster game obviously coming up, but this weekend starts the conference schedule. how do you kind of evaluate how the season has gone so far in terms of non-conference games and the strength of the schedule and where you guys are at, and how do you sort of go forward in terms of what this team can be once the conference starts, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so we pay close attention to conference to national standings, and right now we're a top 30 team, I believe, today in the net. We have been for the last week, and in KenPom we're a top 30 team, and that's as high as we've been in our 3 years here at this point in the season, and we're really proud of that and really excited about that, and that has not come easy. It's, we've played 4 in-state games. We've played 7 NCAA tournament teams from last year. We played big-name teams in Oregon and Creighton and San Diego State and keep going down the list. And so it's, we played 8, like we just talked about, we played 8 of the last 9 away from home. We've had way more games away from home than home, which is uncommon for a top 30 team. And so this schedule had everything in it to break us, and it didn't. It came close now, and it was certainly costly, but I'm so proud of our guys. With all that said, that's all in the books now, so none of it really matters. And we got to tomorrow night, we play our 5th and final in-state opponent, and every single one of these in-state games is a dogfight. I mean, we could be playing Timpview High School, and you could throw out the records and the stats and the standings and everything else, and it would be a dogfight. It's just how it is when you get to play against your brother. You might be 22 and your brother might be 15, but I'm telling you, if you don't bring it in the backyard, he's going to get you. That's just the way it is. And so, we gotta come tomorrow ready to compete at the highest level, and then we start this conference season in a WCC that's better than it's ever been before. I think by the metrics, that's pretty accurate that this is the best this league has ever been. Best non-conference performance of this league. The most teams ranked in the top 40, and so it just gets harder from here, and we got to keep proving it. But what we've accomplished so far, I think, is awesome. I'm super excited about it.
Mitch?
And
Go ahead, Alex. Then Mitch.
Yeah, I just had a real quick follow-up to just the vaccination question from earlier. You mentioned that you guys don't have to deal with the testing protocols for unvaccinated players. I wanted to just be super clear. Does that mean that everybody on your team, staff, players, etc., that you guys are all vaccinated, so that's why you don't have to worry about that stuff?
I don't know if am I going to get fired or sued? There's HIPAA laws. I don't know what I'm allowed to disclose about that or not. So I don't know, guys. You guys are all out to get me, man. What happened? No, right now, the way the NCAA said this is that vaccinated players do not have to be on a testing protocol, and so that's kind of the way we're functioning right now.
Coach, what did that trip to Hawaii maybe do for as a team bonding situation for your team? Because I know 2 years ago that trip to Maui was big for your program. Just maybe what did that do for you guys to kind of come together as a group moving forward into a stretch of league play? It's going to be difficult.
Well, it was different. It was different than Maui. Maui was so early in the season. So Maui was just as we were just starting to get together and we were just starting to try and form an identity. So it was different in that sense. New staff, new players, new everything. This was kind of the culmination of our non-conference schedule, so it was a little bit different that way. It was also just fast. I mean, it was just, we got there and played 3 games and got out. It seemed like it was, it was so certainly just in terms of time together, it was bonding. But, my first walk on the beach my first, legitimately walk on the beach was after sunset on Christmas night. So there was not a lot of, maybe I need to get better at that, but there wasn't a ton of it's not like we had some team adventure in the Hawaiian rainforest. We didn't get to that part.
What makes your team so good at avoiding back-to-back losses?
Well, so actually I was going to make a joke, but I'm not. I'm going to talk about that seriously. So I think a couple things. One is I think we have great leadership on this team, and these guys have been through it. They understand this really important principle that the next game is always going to be the hardest game you've played all season long. It just is the truth. And so the guys understand that. The guys have really taken this identity of this game cares about how you're going to respond, which I know is a phrase we've talked about a lot. But when you think that that's what the question is that has to be answered all the time is how are you going to respond, when that's what you're focused on, rather than dwelling on what just happened, but being more interested in how you're going to respond to it, I think that's a great DNA of a team. And so I think that helps guys recover from losses and refocus. And I think this idea of getting constructive as soon as you can. Sometimes the mourning process in athletics, we allow it to be way longer than we should. And it's really indulging. It's really indulging yourself. When you let the grieving process of a loss take too much of your headspace and take too much of your time and linger too long, that's an indulgence that we allow ourselves as athletes that's actually poisonous. And our guys have been really, really good and committed at trying to refuse to indulge in the grieving process for too long. Now, none of that guarantees that you're not going to lose 2 in a row. But it gives you as good a chance as you can possibly have. At some point, everybody's going to lose a couple games in a row, and that's going to be a super fun saga to try and dig yourself out of that hole. That's part of athletics also. But these guys have been really committed to those 3 principles, and they've been really successful in avoiding that thus far.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach, so much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.